This video will show how operational areas can create and update their shelters. You can use the Shelter app directly from the Cal EOC 360 Home or create a new shelter record from the widget in an incident. The Local Shelter app is highlighted here. The Local Shelter widget is in the middle of the stack. You will see the first 3 entries in the widget window and can see the full list by clicking on the widget title bar or the View All link in the bottom right. As with other widgets, you can create a new shelter entry by clicking on the downward-facing triangle button on the far right. Creating a new shelter entry is pretty straightforward. If you can use the widget, your incident will already be there. If not, find your incident first to tie your shelter to that set of records. Your first question in the pop-up is whether this shelter is for people, for animals, or for both. That takes you to a pop-up screen for the shelter information. At the top is the context, the OA in which this shelter is located, the status, which might be open, closed, alert, standby, inactive, full, or CDSS. Add the facility's name and address. Scroll down to add shelter-specific information, the date and time the shelter will be open, when it might close, and capacity details. There's also a checkbox and field for information on service animals and whether this is a fixed shelter facility. Scrolling down, add information on the facility's capabilities. For instance, is it pet friendly? Does it have a backup generator? Or is it ADA compliant? And does it offer AFN services? Scrolling further down are fields for the many different kinds of animals: birds, horses, domestic, zoo animals, livestock, and other that this shelter tracks and supports. At the very bottom, add the contact information for the shelter manager. Shelter records have a lot of information that might be used for a different incident. Cloning the shelter information is easy with the clone button in the upper right corner. Go to a past incident first, find the shelter that you used, then click the clone button. The basic information will appear in the pop-up without the current incident. Add that information, check for updates, then save. You can also change the shelter record type or create a printable view of the shelter information from the downward-facing triangle button. And from the printable view, look in the upper right action area for a link to print this page. Let's take a tour of this on the site. I'm in my incident, Earthquake Hancock, Sacramento. Let's go down, find the shelters, local shelters. I'm going to create a new shelter. You can create a new shelter for people, for animals, or for people and animals. Now, there's a lot of basic information here, and you probably have all the information about the shelters that have been set up in the past. You will be able to clone that information to new incidents as the information is needed. Here's my incident information carried over. Shelter for people and animals, I just chose that, the operational area. Here it is, creating on behalf of another OA. In case you're working in tandem with another OA or they have the ability to, the inability to report and you are, so you can create on behalf of another OA. The status, this shelter is on alert. Facility name, let's go Cal Expo. I don't know if Cal Expo would be just a suitable shelter space, but here's the address. You can search the address. Let's see what happens when we put in Cal Expo here. Lot D, gate 12, gate 10, lot B. And then if it's a smaller place that we're setting this up with no address, we can put in a latitude and longitude. That doesn't usually work in shelters, but you can. And then shelter information, the date it opened was today. If we don't know this information, we can leave it blank. Does this facility accept service animals? Does it take people with access and functional needs? Service animal restrictions? Okay, is it pet friendly? Is this facility ADA compliant? Does this facility offer AFN services? Is it warming, cooling, reception? This is basically about the facility. Animal capacity, does it accept birds? How many birds? How many does it have already? Does it take horses, domestic animals, exotic or zoo pets, livestock, other kinds of animals? And in each case, you can update these as needed. The contact information for this particular shelter. As soon as you hit save, it'll record all of this information, which can be updated anytime. That's it for this shelter application. If you have questions, please let us know at rsi.support@caloes.ca.gov.